If I talk to her like this, when I talk to her like this, can you hear better? Or do you
A
notice a
little bit
difference?
better facing frontwards, but you can still
Okay.
hear well to the side as well.
Okay. So I will ask questions up front and then look at you,
Yeah.
and then you can
So
answer.
I answer to the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a very good projection. Your voice is very strong. That's
Thank
good.
you.
I don't. Okay, we'll get started. We'll
Okay.
edit all this part out.
Yeah. Or not.
So nice to see you, Lisen. This is my friend Lisen Sundgren. She lives in Sweden and she's visiting me and many other people here in California and will be in Oregon this weekend with me at Oshala Herb Camp and then in New York visiting some friends as well as very famous herbalist Rosemary Gladstar, who she taught with. We'll go into that. And this is the first interview I'm doing with someone next to me, so I'm very excited to be here and to celebrate Lisen with me today.
And thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored.
So Lisen and I know each other from Sweden. I was there last year, and the reason why I was in Sweden, I've shared with many of you who are watching this, is because I've gone on my own ancestral journey to look for my ancestral heritage and the herbs in my own ancestry. And I was able to find Lisen through social media as well as not through social media.
I no, I'm trying. Didn't somebody mention my name?
Yeah, oh yes, people recommended, right? A dear
I can't
friend of
remember.
mine
Yeah.
who I actually met the first time I was in Sweden in 2011 said you need to reach out to Lisen Sundgren because she is the herbalist in Sweden. And so I emailed Lisen and you responded right away. It was amazing, very quick, very entrepreneurial, which is why we're interviewing you today.
And then we had a Zoom meeting.
Then we had
quite soon after that. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, she can come.
Yeah. And then we ended up teaching together in a class in Stockholm, herb class. And since then we've stayed connected and now you're back here in California. So this is a long relationship that's still at its beginning stages, I think lifelong.
Yeah.
Which thankfully herbalists are good at.
Yeah, we are
connecting each other. So the reason why I'm excited to talk to you today, Lisen, and to share with all of you is Lisen, I would say you're an outlier. You are someone who did something on your own. There was no path in front of you. Nobody said you should do this. You have your own journey, like many of you herbalists and me included. This is a path that calls to you, and you're pulling back the brush as you see the path, right? And you're forging the path for many others to come behind you. And you've done that for so long. And I think a lot of people feel lost on their path. Often they're like, I don't know. But what I appreciate about you and what I'm excited to share is that it's always been yours. You've said yes to the thing that made it make sense, made it make money, made it work for you and your talents. And you're still doing that today. And you're even morphing into what that looks like for the next phase of your career. But that your career is your identity, as many herbalists and most herbalists, I think it's like it's all of us. And it's the way we make money because of the system we're in, but it's the thing we would do anyway. And for those of us that can build a career around herbalism, it's the most unique and special thing to share with others that it's possible. And it doesn't always look, and it actually shouldn't look the same way it looks for someone else because we're different. We have a different history. We have a different path. And I would love for you to start just to share, as you did this morning on our herb walk, we did an herb walk this morning. Share how you found herbalism, and then we'll go from there because I know there's many chapters of that story for you.
Well, so it began, I was living in New York. I was an actress. I was going to act in school. And I was super ambitious, working really hard. And ended up also living in New York at that time was a big deal because, I discovered yoga and, a totally different lifestyle from what I had in Sweden. But I was also pushing myself really, really, really hard because I was never happy with myself. I was never good enough. So I was pushing. And got a nervous exhaustion, or burnout, whatever you want to call it. So I went back to Sweden, and the doctors were like, "Yeah, little girl, you're going to be fine. Eat your porridge, take your walks." Because, burnout wasn't a thing. This was mid-90s, 1994. And so I didn't know what to do. And a friend of mine knew about the Vidar Clinic, which was an anthroposophical clinic outside of Stockholm.
Does the anthroposophic world, is that a Rudolf Steiner
Yeah,
foundation? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I was reading about it the other day and it connected the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the doctors there, the medicine, they are trained, modern doctors, but they also have 3 or 4 years of anthroposophical medicine on top of that. So it's
Similar
the
to the
best of two worlds.
integrative medicine now, but there was a lot more
Yeah.
energy, a lot more like color therapy, a lot more alternative therapies in
And
there.
all using not just plants, actually. They had bee therapy and using minerals and stuff. I know they were injecting gold because I needed the warmth of gold. But anyway, so a friend of mine knew about them, booked an appointment. I wasn't capable of doing anything. I was just a nervous wreck and not in very good shape at all. And she booked an appointment and brought me there. And when I saw these buildings from afar, I don't know if you're familiar with anthroposophical architecture, it's very unique. But there was this building that was blue and round, and the clinic itself was like pink. All these pink, very soft buildings, and I immediately got a feeling that my soul is going to heal here. And it wasn't intellectual; it was just I'm going to heal. And so the doctor came out, and let me into his office and shook my hand and looked me in the eye, and I'd never seen before, because when you go to doctor's office, a regular doctor, they barely look at you in the eye. They look in the computer, or they're just in a hurry to get you in there and then to get you out there. And he listened to me for over an hour without interrupting, just anything else. And I've never felt so seen and heard in my life. I was 28 maybe. And I thought I was going to get a pill or, something to fix me, because I was an actress and I couldn't, just disappear nowhere. I needed to be available at all times. Nobody knew about me. So nobody, so it was kind of funny. But anyway, so he said, I want you to stay here for 2 weeks so we can take care of you. And first I was shocked. I was like, 2 weeks? I can't go away for 2 weeks. But then I trusted him so much. And so I said yes, and then ended up staying there for a month. And as I was getting better, I started getting curious about the world around me, which is a sign of healing. I started asking about the herbs he was giving me. And he was really clever. He was a Dutch. He looked like a little gnome. He was so sweet. And he was really smart because he didn't start explaining about the plants. But instead, he was like, let's go to the library. And he had talked to the library when we went in there, and the librarian had put together a pile of books about herbs. And let me discover them for myself. So I took this pile and I just read and read and read and read and read. And then I asked, so I see there's an herb garden out there. Can I go out and pick some of the herbs and make tea? He's like, yeah, go ahead. He was like, she's getting better. And I remember one night I was making peppermint tea because I'd read in one of the books that peppermint is good for digestion. And I had a lot of digestive issues. And so I made this tea. I got a teapot. I boiled my water, put a lot of mint in this teapot and poured the water and let it sit. Got really strong, quite bitter. And I got in front of the fire. This was maybe 9 o'clock in the evening. And I drank my peppermint tea, the whole pot. And then I went to bed. And peppermint was chatting with me all night, keeping me awake, because that's what peppermint does, right? It's invigorating. Yeah. And I was up till like 4 a.m. And that's when I learned that. So I think that was my first communication or encounter with, or embodiment, let's call it that, with a plant. And from there I was lost. and started working after that in at a farm, and then at a biodynamic farm in Stockholm, where I ended up staying for 25 years. I was supposed to stay for 6 months. And I live in the city, I live in Stockholm, and so I never had to grow my own herbs because I had everything there, and as well as the wild plants in forest. So, and then I began studying and took a 1-year program and went back to New York and started studying there. And that's where I met, Rosemary Gladstar and Pat Montgomery and Pika Trenkel and all these amazing Seven Song, all these amazing people. And that's when I realized that herbalism is so much more than just treating disease, that it's a whole lifestyle. And from then on, I was like, I'm not an actress anymore. I'm a herbalist. And I have been ever since.
I love that story because so many herbalists join or become herbalists through their own healing journey. That's probably the most common
I think so.
theme.
Yeah.
I would say 90% of the people I know, they're like, I didn't feel well.
Yeah.
Rarely do we find people raised in the industry or in the world, and their families kind of steward them along the way. That's more of the indigenous path, and not very common for the modern, European-based person or American people that came from Europe. It's a lot more common to find it through their own healing journey. So you are a forager. We'll talk about you being an author after that, because you are an amazing, prolific author. But you're a forager. So can you walk everyone through how that got started? Because that is a way you make a partial living.
Yeah.
And a way that you've been actually very early in the foraging world. It's significantly more popular today than it was when you started. So I would love for you to share that story.
Yeah, it's funny because that was also part of my healing journey. Before I came to this clinic and I got treatment, I honestly, I did not know what to do with myself. At night, I didn't sleep. I was trying to crawl out of my skin. I didn't want to be here. And the only thing that made sense was me being pulled out in the forest. So I would go out. There's a big park where I live, a big national park in Stockholm, and with forests and fields. And I would go out there every single day. And because I was on sick leave, I needed to have, I understood that I needed to have a schedule. You need to decide what to do every day. You can't just float around. So you need rhythm. And so I would go out every single day in the forest and walk around for hours. And quite often I would have lunch at Rosendal's garden, where I eventually ended up working. I did not know that then. And it was the only place where I felt safe and loved and not validated. Nobody was telling me what to look like, what to do, how to dress. I've been in the theater, in the acting industry. Everybody's telling you what to look like and to lose weight, cut your hair, do this, blah, 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 blah. None of that in the forest. So, of course, obviously, I spent a lot of time there. And eventually started getting curious about the plants that I found. And as I was joining this herbal school where I went, foraging was wild medicine was part of the program. And I got obsessed. It was like immediate. Nettles and Johnswort, plantain, all those plants. It just came so easy for me to learn about them and to start making medicines. And I was making a lot of skincare at the time, which eventually became a skincare brand that no longer exists, but did for many years. So that's how the wild plants came to me. And I just started foraging and finding food in the wild. And people looked at me like, why go in the forest and find food when you can go to the supermarket and it's clean? It's like, why do you go to the supermarket and not out of the forest? Because that's where the food is. So at Rosendal, I got the opportunity to start guiding. I had already started guiding herbal walks. And so I started guiding wild walks, I call them wild walks. And I remember on my very first walk, 3 people showed up because it was raining. But those 3 people, they were in their umbrellas and raincoats, and rain boots, and they were so enthusiastic. So that really encouraged me to keep going. And they have a restaurant at Rosendal's Garden, and I was like, you have to forage nettles to make nettle soup, and you have to take the goutweed, and you have to blah 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 blah. And they were like, well, yeah, okay, if you go out and pick it. So I did. And it's a big restaurant. I mean, they serve like hundreds of bowls of soup every day. So it was a lot of nettles. So I'm very intimate with nettles. Um, and that's really where it began, with me in restaurants. And then eventually, as the new Nordic kitchen was developed, which was a big thing in Scandinavia 15 years ago, maybe, um, chefs suddenly became interested in, they wanted to take their bike to the nearest farm and get their carrots, and it was cool to know the farmer. And this was new. And also they wanted the wild plants, but they didn't have the knowledge. So I knew a friend who was a girl who was studying to be a gardener, and I met her on the street one day in Stockholm, and she said, "Oh, my boyfriend and his friends are opening a restaurant. Oh, and they're looking for sweet woodruff, which happens to be a favorite plant of mine." And I was like, "I can get that easy," because it was May, so it was sweet woodruff season. And so I booked a table at the restaurant with a friend and filled my bag with sweet woodruff. It smells like vanilla. It's wonderful. Um, and I went in there and I said, "Hi, I'm at Hanna. I heard you need a sweet woodruff," and just gave him the bag. And then I ended up working with them for 10 years. They're closed down now. And then I ended up working with a whole bunch of restaurants, teaching them, educating them, but also foraging for them, which was a lot of fun. It was
Thank
a
you
lot
for
of
sharing
fun.
that.
Yeah.
I think a big piece of the essence of this group that we've been going over and over again is
Mm.
having the confidence just to get that first step and that
Yeah.
first getting started. So you talking about the ability to book a table and have a bag ready to be the person to go there and share that, like, that takes gusto. That takes, you're probably nervous that they're going to think you're a strange wild
I
person.
didn't even think of that.
Oh, good. See, that's good. That's good. But for those that really are nervous about
Yeah.
that, it's like, I'm curious if you can share a little bit about what was going on for you. And it might have been just
Yeah.
motivated to make money.
Yeah.
That's part of what gets us out the door and
Yeah.
our goals, our own goals
Yeah.
for our lives. And it's like, I need to support myself.
Yeah.
How am I going to do this? Let me try this.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you remember back in these early days when you were getting started, what was helpful for you getting out there?
I was just so eager to share this. I was just like, the world has to know this. And I wasn't making a lot of money at it at this time. And even with the restaurant, most of the time we exchanged favors. I gave them herbs, they gave me food.
Which is a version of money.
It is a version of money
Food is
because
good.
these were top restaurants.
Yeah.
I could never afford to eat there.
Yeah.
And I've eaten there many times. So I feel rich,
Yeah.
So, but for me, truly, it was like, it's crazy. People have to know this. It's free food, and it makes you feel good to be in the forest, and you can eat nettles and goutweed and daisies and this and that. So it really came from there, and I think I'm the enthusiast. I love to inspire people. I didn't even know that at the time, but when I get excited about something, it's all I talk about. So I'm very one-sided like that.
Yeah.
And I had dreams to write a book. Um, and also, when I first came back to Sweden from the US, I had studied with a woman called Pika Trankel, who had a 2-year program in New York, and also with Rosemary Gladstar and done her program, which at the time, of course, wasn't online because at the time it was, you wrote your homework and sent it to her and got it back with notes. Anyway, and part of that is making your own herbal spa. And to me, that was so sensational because it's so sensuous. You steam your face with rose steam and you massage your body with rose oil or lavender, all these amazing fragrant herbs. and it makes you feel really amazing. And I did not feel amazing about myself. So that was a big revelation. And so when I came back to Sweden, I also realized this is such a good gateway to get people interested in herbs, especially then when nobody was talking about herbs and nobody was talking about natural skincare. And so I started teaching. I created like a workshop where they got to make their facial masks and body scrubs and foot baths with fresh flowers, like a lot of fresh flowers and oils and essential oils and everything. And what was the question? Was it so? Yeah, so it was the same with the wild food, that with the spa. I was just so passionate about people just have to experience this, and it was the same with the wild food.
So it's really coming through that service, that passion
It
for
really did
helping others. Yeah. Okay.
And then eventually, of course, I had to make money, so I started teaching and guiding walks and stuff. But it really came from that place of, I have to tell the world.
I love that. I love that. I feel the same. When I was in herb school, I remember looking all the self-study before I went to herb school and just questioning, like, why isn't this hip and sexy?
Yeah.
And I think it's starting now, like the hip and sexy part is starting now.
Yeah.
But this was, 20 something years ago, where it's like, why is not everyone doing this? This is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I hear you. So when all of the classes, you started with spas, and then your first book was an herbal spa book.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
What was it called again?
Lisen's Herbal Spa.
Lisen's Herbal Spa.
Lisen's Herbal Spa. Yeah. And then I was also traveling a lot at the time. Every year I would travel in the winter because, Swedish winters, if you don't know about it,
it's very cold.
It's very cold and it's very dark and very long.
Yeah.
So I would, as much as possible, travel. I would go to India to go do panchakarma at Ayurvedic retreats. I would go to Bali. And when I was in Bali, I would explore all the spas, and they would put me in floral baths or a root bath or scrub me with papaya mixed with coffee, or put mango in my face. It's just so sensual. Vanilla oil, and I was just, it's amazing. And that and the Ayurveda really inspired me to show people how you can use your own skincare, make your own skincare. It's like in the first book, but here's more like mango and more tropical fruits and flowers. And so that was called Lisen's Indian Spa. I didn't like the name because it was Asia in general. It was more general. Anyway, but that was the book. That was my second book. And also at the same time, I had a skincare line, and I was making skincare and selling it and having that business.
And how did you sell it? What were the avenues you were selling the skincare at? What worked for you?
I started out at home. And at Rosendal's Garden where I was working, and then eventually they started selling my beeswax salves, the calendula salve, in the store. I had no idea about rules and regulations. I was just making it and selling it, no label or anything, or ingredients. And then eventually, I started selling to shops where I would go to markets, like a farmer's market or any place where I could just sell. I was making salves and creams and soaps and shampoos and everything. And then eventually I got more and more into stores and got more publicity. People were writing about it because natural skincare wasn't a big deal at the time. Yeah. And people were like, what's wrong with mineral oil, Yeah. So, good. Yeah.
And with because I'm just going to dive deeper into each section. When you started teaching, you had these 2 spa books with the first 2 books that you had. What classes do you feel like really resonated with people? If you remember, they filled up easily. People really got a lot out of them at that time when you were starting. Because I agree that hands-on experiences when you're starting out teaching is the easiest thing as a first kind of beginning herbalist, that you're not dealing with complex issues. Right. You're not talking about lung conditions or immune
Right.
conditions. You're really just getting people to experience, and
Yeah.
you can sit there quietly for a long time. It's
Yeah.
great as a teacher
Yeah.
to get people to put face masks on. Like, I'm curious about that, what you really found worked for you in any of those situations. If you can, I
Yeah.
know it was a long time ago
It was
too.
a long time ago, but I do remember, and it was funny because this was way before social media. We had a printed brochure. I was looking, I found them the other day in the attic, and I was like, oh, this is so sweet. We had little paper brochures, that
Yeah.
were distributed at Rosendahl's Garden.
Yeah.
And those spa workshops filled up like crazy.
Yeah.
I could have 20 people.
Yeah.
4 nights in a row.
Wow.
Because I didn't want more than 20, 25. Also because I only had so many foot bath, things, buckets. And you can only have so many women doing this at the same time, Muslim women. And I was really excited about it. So what I think the trick is really to find what really excites you is going to attract other people.
Yeah.
For me, this was a great way to start. So the herbs made me a teacher. They made me a writer. Maybe I would have written books about something else. I don't know. I come from my dad was a writer, and he was very passionate about one subject. He stuck to that his whole life, and he wrote books about it and talked about it. So I kind of did the same thing. But I think whatever you can speak about with enthusiasm, and it comes from a true place, then people will listen and get excited. So when I started with the foraging, first people were like, oh, that's crazy. But I was so excited, and I was like, and then you can make this pesto, and you can make this pasta, and you can make this and this and this. And eventually I would hear people coming back to me and saying, yeah, I made that, and I started foraging the food, blah, 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 and this changed my life, and la, la, la. Because those simple things are life-changing.
Yeah.
So I think it's, find what you are passionate about and then start sharing that. And when people start, that's why making stuff is such a good pathway into herbalism, because the herbs will change you. They will transform you when you start making oils and tinctures and scrubs and salves and creams, and they make you feel better about yourself. It gives you confidence, it gives you esteem, and then when you share, like I used to make this rose scrub with fresh rose petals and sugar. I would blend it with almond oil and have a little bit of vanilla in there, or cardamom.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, and some lemon peel. And I would give that to people. Or the one with the fresh birch leaves, salt, oil, and lemon. And it was like bright green and smelled like a spring day. And for me, when I gave that to people or sold it to them and they used it and they came back, and I was like, oh my God, I felt amazing. My skin has never, oh my God, I'm glowing. It makes you feel confident. You can do something, and you can actually help people by making this stuff, and it's fun to make it. So whatever tickles your fancy, but it really has to come from, like, some people love to cook, so that's how they share their passion. Or I don't know, love to do body work or whatever.
That's amazing. I mean, it goes deeper into what we talk about a lot. I think you and I talk about, but what we talk about in this group, which is your deepest authentic expression, is actually the direction you need to go.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's hard for people to find it because they're trying to make a living at the same time.
Yeah.
So what is that perfect Venn diagram when maybe it is something easy to make for people, like a class that's a spa day, or foot soaks or face stuff, but it has the herbs you're passionate about. There is something that's marketable and still something that you're really passionate about. That does draw the people in and makes money. And that's where I think people could get stuck in, oh, that person does that, so I'm going to do it, versus what is my version of that? What is the thing that works well for me? And it sounds like you found that in multiple places.
And I think it's finding your own language to communicate. You can't copy. I can't be Laura. And I can't be Rosemary Gladstar or, one of these other amazing teachers, but also because it was actually really lucky that I studied acting. I didn't become an actress, but I did learn to use my voice so people can hear what I'm saying. I was already used to handling an audience. I know how to, make sure I have connect with everybody in the group. That's super important when you teach, which is harder online, obviously,
But possible.
It is possible, absolutely.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, and how to use my voice so people will listen. And I had already learned to improvise and not be afraid to, make a fool of myself. And if I make people laugh, so much better because, when we laugh, if you get your audience to laugh, that's great because laughter relaxes us and then we listen more attentively.
Mm.
So make jokes, be funny, make a fool of yourself. I do that all the time and I say the wrong things or I, blurt things out but I think that really helped me find my authentic voice. And also through writing, I remember I began blogging a long time ago and I'm slowly getting back to it, very slowly. But that was for my third book. I needed to find a new language. So I started blogging. So that's because on a blog, you are free to express yourself exactly the way you want. Nobody's going to edit. You're going to get feedback from your readers on what works and what doesn't, but you are free to explore your own language. And if you are a writer, that is a great way, or a newsletter, just any way, or writing a diary, because you have to explore your language. That's part of, because you're communicating what you want to share, right? And you want to find your own language to do it. And that's when people listen. I truly believe that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And also another thing, I'm sorry, about, making money. And this is something I've been dealing with all my life is charge money, let it cost money because this is your knowledge. This is knowledge that you paid money and invested a lot of time to learn. And people don't bargain with like a lawyer or a doctor, So I get really furious when people are like, oh, but I don't have any money. It's like asking me if they can go for free or if they can help me with something. It's like, no. Or if when I've worked with different businesses doing corporate work, taking them out in the forest, they're like, no, that's too expensive. It's like, no. So and that's something that we have to work on, all of us, because we support each other by charging what we're worth. If you start dumping the market, you dump it for everybody, not just yourself.
That's right. That's right.
And this is important knowledge that the world needs. The world needs more herbalists, because we are community builders. And we try to love people, So yeah, don't be afraid. Let it cost money to go to your courses and do your whatever.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are a very prolific writer. You have published 8 books. Amazing. Not many herbalists can say that. Even the very, very well-published American herbalists are still not caught up with you.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if you can walk through, you talked about your first 2 books and the spa books and your foraging book. I'm curious if you feel like writing these books, because we're not going to necessarily go on, I am curious about like how you structure your time with writing, because I think a lot of people are here curious about writing, but knowing that it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So let's get to that later. But I am curious how writing books, what it's done for you as a practitioner, as a brand, or as someone that can be accessible to a larger career journey. Because I know they don't always make a ton of money. So I'm curious what the outcome of writing books has been for you.
Yeah, it's really good. On a personal level, it's good because you have to do a lot of research. You have to really sit down and think, what is it I want to write? Why do I want to write it? Why should people want to read about this? And spend money on the book. And then writing is time consuming. But to answer that question, it's like writing a book is like having a business card. It shows, it's like a validation, you know. And also I'm with a big famous publishing house, so that gives me credibility, which is silly because just as long as you write a book, that's what matters. Even if you self-publish, that's great. Which, by the way, many famous herbalists do. So it, you get good publicity, because if you write a book, then magazines will write about you. I was on television, I've been on radio multiple times. It's like you become somebody. You're still the same person that you always were, but it's like you become somebody in people's eyes. And also you reach out to a bigger audience, people who didn't know about you, because in those days when I began, there wasn't social media, so it was magazines was a big thing, television, radio. So yeah, so you get a bigger venue, and so that means it's easier to charge more because you become a name, you know. And I'm a bit addicted to writing books, so you don't make a lot of money writing them. I mean, compared to the hours you invest in writing. Also, I've seen in a lot of herb books here in the States, people use like photos from internet. I'm like, no, 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 no. I have a photographer. I style all my photos. I plan them into detail. I put a lot of work into finding, the right props and locations to shoot. Also because it's something I like. I like creating beautiful photos. So I have a photographer who does a shoot, but I actually, make the composition. So it's enormously time consuming. So when I do write a book, I need to be in, like, get up in the morning, go for my morning walk, have my breakfast, and then I sit and write, and then I have my lunch, and then I take a little break, and then I sit and write, and then I take a break, and then around 4 o'clock, my brain is gone. There are days when I get to the computer, go up and make some tea, get back to the computer. I need to vacuum clean my floor. Okay, so I'll start vacuum cleaning. So there are days when I don't get anything done, but I need to set that time aside. So it's hard if you have a full-time job, or on a day that I'm doing a workshop or working. I can't write I can't just switch moods like that.
Right.
I have to, like, really prepare so that it's clear around me, so I can sit and focus. And I do a lot of research because I want to be super, sure that I get everything correct.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. The famous writers that I've listened to, I don't know personally, they always say you're going to work when you're writing the book. You're you're lighting a candle, you're setting your intention, you're working.
Yeah.
And I think for people that are wanting to write a book, setting aside that work time is really hard to do.
It is hard. And some people, I remember my former sister-in-law, she was like, oh, but your life is so easy. You can just go and sit in a coffee shop and write. No, I can't. I have to sit in my home in a special place, and I have piles of books around me everywhere, and I have to have my special cup, and I have to be
you can't be distracted.
I can't be distracted.
Yeah.
I need to have the radio on a certain volume, on a certain program, or listen to specific music. I can't just sit in a cafe and feel right when I feel inspired, because you're not gonna feel inspired every day. But you know what is the greatest inspiration? Is a good deadline.
Yeah, we love deadlines.
We love deadlines. Yes, you sign a contract, you get a deadline, and you procrastinate and you procrastinate until you can't procrastinate anymore. But that time is still important, because during that time you're thinking and your brain is like sorting everything out, and you start writing down ideas, and then or at least that's what my process is like. In the beginning, I was very frustrated because I didn't know that that's how my mind works. I got really frustrated. Oh, I didn't write anything today. I'm not getting anywhere. But now I know that my creative process needs a lot of time when I'm not doing anything. Like I go for walks, but I can't. I become very asocial when I write books. I don't want to meet people because they don't understand the world that I'm in,
Mm,
and it's like everything I do and see is through the filter of the theme of the book, which
mhm,
is also the beauty of being in the creative process. Um, and it's hard to share that. So when people start talking about everyday things, I'm like, oh, I can't. Ooh, no,
mhm,
I
mhm,
can't. Don't disturb.
mhm,
So it's a lonely process. You have to have good sitting bones because
mm.
there's only one way to write a book. It's to sit down on your butt and do it. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing about your creative process too. That reminds me that that is something that I'm learning
Mm,
to accept in myself at
mm.
the same time that you're sharing this, is that when I'm preparing for a class, sometimes it takes me 20 hours
Yeah.
to prepare for one
Yeah.
class. Sometimes it doesn't,
Yeah.
depends on how many times I've taught that class. But or another thing in the business or whatever I'm doing is that I'm realizing that time at the beginning of
Mm,
between the start
mm,
of the decision and the deadline.
mm.
About half of it is thinking, just thinking a lot about
Yeah.
it, seeing inspiration in my life, going on drives, not really talking to people about it.
No,
It's so
no.
I'm processing, but it's
Yeah.
work. I'm
Yeah.
working on it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it in my soul. I'm working on it emotionally. I'm having
Mm,
aha moments.
yeah.
I'm thinking about other books or other people I can pull
Yeah.
from, but I'm not actually
No,
working on it
exactly.
yet.
Yeah.
But that is what they say, the majority of the work goes
Yeah.
90% before you sit
Yeah.
down. And I think it just goes to show that anything that's worthy of doing in your life is the thing
Mm,
that you're already working on.
yeah.
It's the thing that's
Yeah.
coming in you that you feel like, I really want to do this. I should do this. I
Yeah.
should do this. I mean, it took me 20 years to say, I think I should work in cancer treatments
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
and it's been the thing I've been thinking about for 20 years.
Yeah.
Not that I've been focused on it, but now getting into it, it's not brand new. I have been
Right.
reading about it. I have been
Yeah.
thinking about it. I have been
Mm,
working with certain clients. So I think
mm.
this goes to show that giving ourselves a little break and realizing the
Yeah.
creative process is actually very, can be very soothing and very
It
natural
is.
and
Yeah.
very nourishing,
Yeah.
but structured.
Yeah. And you have to be really compassionate with yourself because
Hmm.
it sounds like I've just been working, playing along. No, I've had long periods of time where I've been feeling really lost and lonely and where am I heading? Why can't I just have a normal job? I can't hold down a normal job, just so you know. I tried.
Yeah.
Um, because I don't like other people telling me what to do.
I say entrepreneurs are the worst employees.
Yeah, there we are. Um, so, and I've been berating myself for not being good enough, blah, blah, blah. But at the end, I remember I think it was like a 2-year period. I was completely dried out, I was and just working along, but no inspiration, no new ideas. And I thought I'm finished as an artist. And then I ended up spending 3 months in Africa. It was just lucky coincidence. Going to 3 different countries, spending a month in each. And I did that specifically because I met somebody who wanted me to go and help her with the children's home, but also because I just felt I needed to smell new smells, taste new flavors, get new tracks in my brain. Because, when we do the
Yep.
same thing all the time, it's like the tracks get so deep, we can't think new thoughts. That's how I think of it. And so I just need to, go somewhere where I don't know the language, where I don't understand the culture, where the music is new to me. And so I did. And then that completely changed everything. It was so inspiring and also hard and difficult and fun and all that. And I came home and wrote the book I gave you now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so these processes can really take time. So it's like you really have to be a lot more compassionate with yourself than I have been. Now that I'm aging, I'm learning this is my process. And I can be a little more relaxed during those periods of time where I don't feel creative, because I know something will come out of them.
Mm.
It can be very stressful financially, but you just have to find ways. Um, so there's, I'm saying this because sometimes you feel like there's something wrong with you. It's like, oh, everybody else is so successful, and then you watch Instagram or social media, and everybody's so happy and doing things all the time, and everybody's so creative, and it's like I'm sitting here and I'm all dried up. Everything has its own time, you know. And that's part of being human. It's part of being a creative person. And just be self compassion in those situations. It's just, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And just get off social media when that's really starting to get too much. It's important. I am curious to talk about what's next for you. You've been foraging and writing for 30 years. You've been definitely 30 years. You've studied with amazing herbalists. You've taught many courses. What is your 60th year, you're in your 60th year plus, look like for you as a practitioner, as an herbalist, as an entrepreneur, as a creative person?
Yeah, well, this is fun because to me, turning 60 was a game changer. I've been looking forward to it. Ladies, look forward to it. It's fun. Whereas most people are like, oh, I'm getting so old, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, this is the time when you can really harvest. This is finally, I feel like I have something to say, as opposed to when I was 40. And so, but I am also changing, because we do that as we age. I don't feel like running around the country and teaching workshops here and teaching workshops there. And, I feel like going deeper and sharing my knowledge in a different way. And I've had a couple of years of drought, and I've been like, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen when I age? What am I going to do for work? But slowly in that process, ideas have come up. And I do want to write more books. That's one thing. But I also want to start seeing people again, as in clients, which I haven't done. I also studied homeopathy for 3 years, way back when. So I was seeing clients for a while, but I'm a little restless, so I got tired of it and stopped. But now I feel I'm in a place where I do want to see clients, but a very specific group of clients.
We love this.
And this is
because the riches are in the niches.
Yeah, because in our time, you're told that aging is a bad thing, that it makes you ugly, and you're not worthy, and it's like older women are not seen. And I believe in second bloom. Now is not a time to create a family, obviously, or to make a super career in whatever, or maybe it is. Now is time to integrate everything that your life has given you up to this point. And now I feel like I want to work with women over 50 to help them flourish, to find that second bloom. Because I believe that even when I was a young herbalist studying in New York, we were asked to do a meditation with, first visualizing ourselves 1 year from now, and then 10 years from now, and then 20 years from now, and then 50 years from now. And I remember in that meditation, when I saw myself as an elder, where I'm heading, I saw myself as content, and that I was helping people just by very simple means, and I think that's where I'm heading. So I want to help these women feel more confident, take care of their bodies physically, of course, and give, whatever adaptogenics or tonic herbs or whatever they need, and restore whatever they need after a stressful life, but also to give them confidence to don't worry about plastic surgery and wrinkles. They're beautiful. It's like when people meet you, they can read the book of your life, right? there are other things to worry about or to focus on and to put your time and invest your time and money in. And I want younger women to look up to older women and say, I want to be her. And they're not going to do that if we try to look like we're 30 when we're 60 or 70, you know? Um, so that's, and so, yeah, so I want to work with herbs and conversations and maybe even some body work. I'm not really sure where I'm going with that, or singing bowls, music. I don't know. We'll see. So that's one thing. And oh, and a friend of mine who's a colleague, she's a brilliant, she works like you, she's a clinician, and um, just a wonderful, wonderful, super knowledgeable herbalist, Lisa. And we want to start a school. And I think that's just perfect because I'm a little tired of doing one course here, one course there. I'm tired of working on my own. I live alone. I've been working on my own all my life. And I just want to work in partnership, you know. I'm also a nature and forest therapy guide, and a woman who has a nature and forest therapy school in Sweden has also asked me to collaborate. And this has happened just in the past month that she connected with me. And I've just been sending out, I just want to collaborate. I don't want to sit alone in my kitchen anymore, except when I write a book. So more nature connection, hoping to start this school, and traveling. Yeah, I thought I've always loved to travel. And then during the pandemic, I bought a cottage because I thought that was going to be the rest of my life, to sit in my cottage in the woods. That's not me. So I wanted to travel more. And here I am in Oakland, planning for more things to do here in the future. So yeah, so that's, and I think it's a good plan because these are things I can do until I drop.
Yes, absolutely.
If I get to stay healthy. And,
of course you will.
Yeah. And
Thank
also,
you.
thank you. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
No, thank you so much for sharing. I think a big part of being a successful herbalist in my mind is being able to change
Yes.
with the different seasons of our lives,
Yeah.
different passions that we have,
Yeah.
different life situations. If we need to make more money, we might need to look at a different way to do our career, versus are we looking to have more time so we can travel? That's a different career move. So every different phase has a different need.
Yeah.
And the most successful herbalists I know are constantly updating based on that
Yeah.
season, or changing or shifting or pausing or moving forward. And I think that flexibility makes for someone being able to be successful in this space.
And I also think because the times we're living in is so different from when I grew up in the 60s and 70s. The world is just a different place and everything is changing so fast. And for me, it's been very overwhelming with this whole, teaching online and AI. And I feel like I just want to, live in this analog world. But so we have to live in the future because the world is changing so fast right now. I'm doing a talk at Oshala about herbs for resilience. We have to be really resilient and willing to change when need be, because when we get stuck and try to hold on to what is, we're just going to be there stuck wanting what was, and that's not going to get you anywhere. I know, I tried. And it's the same with aging. If you sit and mourning is fine. Yeah, absolutely. Mourn who you were, mourn what has been. But we also need to move with the changes in our own minds and bodies, and see resilience is about facing difficulties and creating something new and beautiful, not holding on, not fighting it, but creating something new and beautiful. So I think it's really important to keep, be open to change. And I'm not saying it's easy because it's not, but it's important.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here today. And
thank you for having me.
Sharing your whole story. I'm so grateful. Thank you. I am curious, Monique, since you're the one who's here, if there's any questions that you have for Lisen before we end today.
Yes, I do. I'm just love listening to you both talk about your, yeah. I just love hearing about people's lives that are so deeply like woven with the herbs and plants. But I'm really curious about the foraging side of things because like my dream that I'm working towards is like making products solely from what I've grown, and I am interested in the foraging side because at times I'm like, oh, maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew with trying to grow everything, and also some things here are like too invasive to plant. Um, like mimosa, for example, gets into the native bush here. So, but it's such I see them around, but New Zealand has this very like clean green image, but there's so much spray. So people spray like crazy here, like pesticides and things. So I'm just wondering if that's like a an issue that you come across in Sweden with foraging or not so much.
Yeah, that's one thing you have to think about is where you're foraging. Is it near an industry or has the land been sprayed? That's actually that's really something you have to take into consideration for sure, because you don't want those sprays, right? But what a
Mm.
luxury to have a problem with mimosa. But yeah, absolutely. So if you can find land where and Sweden is good that way because we have allemansrätten, which means all man's right to access. We can go forage pretty much anywhere, which is not so, I understand,
Mhm.
everywhere. But if you have
Yeah.
wild plants in your own garden, you can use those.
Yeah, I'm working on like building out a whole medicinal apothecary gardens slowly. I've got a bunch of trees I've just gotten in that I'm getting ready to plant.
Beautiful.
And you can do a lot of gathering from trees
Mm,
also, unless they're fruit trees, which are sprayed usually.
yeah.
I'm sure mimosa, since it's a tree, you could gather a lot of that in the wild. Is that correct? Yeah. Do they don't spray the wild mimosa trees, do they?
I don't think so, but like all of the like up in the native bush areas gets like dropped with 1080 poisoning. Like one of the only two countries in the world that still does it. And
That's
then all the I know it's not good to forage off roadsides anyway, but they all get sprayed like crazy. And then a lot of people on their own properties spray as well and in the parks and things. So unless I think it's more of like probably finding people and like building relationships and knowing what they do on their land as well. Like my parents don't spray on their land whatsoever, and they've been there 8, 9 years, and it's had no, but like the surrounding people all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking how common spraying herbicides is. My father, who is a forester who owns 700 acres in the Sierras, the wildfire came through, and
Mm.
in order to replant, they sprayed multiple herbicides so the trees would succeed. And all of that's going into the river water. And these are wild, wild forest
Oh,
lands. You wouldn't consider having herbicides, and it devastated me when I heard
yeah.
this. That this is a very normal practice in the
Yeah.
forest when they
Yeah.
reforest on any
Oh,
land
it's so
all
sad.
around the world.
Yeah.
Even in Sweden, they
Yeah.
spray over there because
Yeah.
there's such a strong
Yeah. Yeah.
forestry
Yeah.
logging industry. So
Yeah.
it sadly more common than I think a lot of us understand. And it
Yeah.
sounds like you're well informed, Monique,
Yeah.
which is important. So I would keep talking about it.
Mm.
So when you do get your products out there in the world, and when you talk about how where it's from, there's no spray, so people really feel safe with what you're doing, and that you've done the work, the many
Yeah.
years to find the right sourcing, to get the right plants, and so people do feel really safe about that journey with you. And I would
Mm.
just keep talking about it and
Yeah.
finding the right people that you can connect with, because that's a huge part of why people will choose your products and trust you as a
Yeah.
practitioner.
And I
Mhm.
think also I talk a lot on my foraging walks about the benefits of dandelion, for example. And I know that I've had people who have stopped spraying their dandelions because I talk so passionately about them, and because they understand that, oh my God, this is medicine. And, so I think the more awareness we can raise about it, the better.
Yes, that's such a great point. Yeah.
I can see you doing your anti-spray walks with all the neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Monique?
I don't think so. But yeah, it's really got me thinking and yeah, excited to just hearing about your like all the beautiful products that you've made. It's getting me excited to get my space more set up and start getting hands on and
Yeah.
yeah.
And Monique has the most beautiful monographs of any
Oh,
student I've
really?
ever had in any of my
Oh,
classes.
wow.
I can't wait for her book to come out.
Oh,
It's going to be
amazing.
stunning.
Are there
I
many
keep
new,
telling you about this, Monique.
yeah, are there many herb books in New Zealand?
There are a few, and then there's also a lot that is like passed down from like they're called kaimatuas, so like the elders, and rongoa is the like traditional practice of with native plants here. Um, yeah, and there is one woman actually that does a lot of foraging around New Zealand and does like walks and things. So I'm hoping she'll come around this area and go on one. But yeah, the native plants are they have a lot of medicinal properties, even just walking my horse along the road and there's one that she loves. I think it's called Coprosma, and it's got really like got a lot of mucilage in it, and she's had gut issues, so I'm like, oh, they just know.
Amazing. I can't wait to come to New Zealand. When are we going?
When she invites us.
Okay.
Yes, please do come. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we look forward to it.
Yeah, we do. Amazing.
I'm curious too if you want to add anything
Sure.
else for everyone before we close. Any words of wisdom from our
Words of wisdom.
sage?
Um, well, mainly I just wanted to, and I worked with this myself. We have long discussions about this, is confidence. And I find I feel pretty confident as a teacher, and um, it is a big deal for me to start seeing clients and building that confidence. And it can only be built by doing. You can't read your way to it. You can't study your way to it. You just have to start practicing, or whether it's making salves. Or I remember my first herbal walk. I was so nervous. I had everything written down in a notebook. And all I wanted to do, like 10 minutes before the group arrived, was to dig a hole in the ground and hide. I was like, why am I subjecting myself to this? I don't know anything. Um, but I stepped out and I did it. And now you can wake me up in the middle of the night and ask me to get an herbal walk, and I will do it happily. So there is only one way to move forward, and that is to actually do it, even when it's scary. So I think that will be my word of wisdom.
Thank you for that. We all need that all the time.
Yeah,
Like, just do
I
it.
do too. Yeah.
Just do it,
Yeah.
and you'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll
Yeah.
figure out if you really like it if you do it,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't like it, you'll know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll know really
And then you do
fast.
something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank you for
thank
your
you
wisdom.
so much,
Thank you,
Monique.
Monique, for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. And we will hopefully be on retreat with you next year.
Yeah.
We'll keep everyone posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I look forward to it. Bye.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your time here. Bye.
Thank you, Monique.
Thank you so much.